they will say, I cannot believe that you talk to those Indians. I cannot believe that you talk to those environmentalists. How can you even stand the stench of being in the same room with them? And I'm going, what? My reaction is because you sent me there, and what I saw, I had to change my perception. I'm a farm boy. Grew up on the farm, still live on that same farm. Went away to college, and other than those college days, I have lived on that farm all my life. We know how to manage what God gives us as far as what I call water and snow or rain. We have developed tools to do that. The human element to me is the most problematic part of this whole conversation as you're dealing with humans, their cultures, you're dealing with their ideologies. We all sit in our churches, we all sit in our little pews, and we pray. And it's interesting to me what people pray for. You know, praying for rain, pray for snow. I think that's justifiable. You know, I would say pray for the farmers. Now I say I want to pray for the farmers and the fishermen and all those kind of things. But when you catch yourself and says, man, I'm hoping that guy is injured, or that particular group of people would go away, or something like that. Now those prayers aren't going to be answered. You have to think about, in my mind, we've made progress is when we as communities started thinking about the right thing to ask for. Even though the Klamath Basin is not a very big world, there's a lot of diversity in it as far as interests. And those were what I call revelations that I had to reconcile. I had to deal with my hypocrisy, and I know that other interests did too. And then you had to move off a position that was probably built on some kind of institutional bias. And we had to just deal with those things. And sometimes you just had to park them. I sometimes envy people that where it's black or it's white, because my world is gray. Because I cannot anymore with a straight face say that that's right and that's wrong, because I have now been to a place where I had a friend call it, you've been enlightened, and you now know that perspective and a lot of the things that you thought were facts maybe weren't, and some of the things that you witnessed, now you understand why those occurred the way they do. Witnessing fishing communities that couldn't fish, witnessing tribal communities that had poverty and didn't have education and electricity and all those kind of things. And when you witness those things, you're going, well, these are things that I take for granted. And here are people who are my neighbors. Some of the Klamath tribe members, they'll talk about a whole generation being lost because of alcoholism and disease and things that I saw as just bad behavior, which was really what I would call a result of deprivation and injury to the culture. And so you kind of go, yeah, I think I'd be behaving badly too, because I saw it, and maybe I had some of those bad behaviors too. And my trauma only lasted a short period of time. The trauma to some parts of the neighborhood had been going on for generations. I've spent some time in what I call former opposition's homes, had meals with them, saw their children, and I'm going, just like my home. They worry about how the kids are fed. They worry about them getting ready for school. They worry about what's the future like for them. All the little things that I worried about and everybody worries about. And I go, gee, that's the same. In this process, you find out that you belong to a much larger organism. The painful part about the term, what I call belonging, is as I've become enlightened, or whatever the term is. I've changed. There's some things I left behind, and there are people in my community, and this is very painful, who once were your supporters and advocate, now are not. In other words, they're still in a place where they're mad, angry, whatever. They still want to segregate themselves out, and they do not understand what I would call the epiphany that some of the folks in this whole process have had. It's very comfortable for some folks just to be where they've been. It's very uncomfortable, I think, for some of us to be where we're at now and where we know we see things going. The revelation is that things that you had hold as fact may not be fact. It's the revelation that people that you thought were evil and selfish are not. There's the revelation that you have to look at yourself, is that the revelation is that you're part of the problem. The real breakthroughs were when we developed enough rapport to where we could have those comfort, where we could say those things. Because there were, for years and years, things left unsaid that probably were important, and it took a long time and a lot of trust building to get to places where you could say what you meant. It's a demonstration of people can solve problems. It's a demonstration that even though it seems like it's an intractable morass that will never be solved, people with what I call different views can, under the right circumstances and the motivation, can solve problems. There have been lots of tools tried, litigation, the media, that it was never successful until all of the parties got together and gave and took. And so if there's any kind of what I call secret to it, it's that. And that's easy to say. That is hard to do.